had a wonderful fall break. We are reading the story of Spookley the Square Pumpkin today. The author of this book is Joe Troino. It's illustrated by Susan Banta. The illustrator draws the pictures, the author writes the words. One day in the pumpkin patch, the strangest little pumpkin hatched. Spookley wasn't like his friends. Where they had curves, he had ends. Spookley was different. He was odd, he was rare. Spookley the pumpkin wasn't round. He was square. Do you guys see Spookley the pumpkin? While the round pumpkins had fun rolling all along, poor Spookley sat there shaped all wrong. He tried and tried with all his might, but he couldn't budge. He just sat tight. The other pumpkins teased him because he was square. Spookley wished he was round and could roll everywhere. That is, until one night, when they all discovered it's fine to be round when the weather is fair, but there are times that it's better to be a square. Halloween was just a day away when a mighty storm blew across the bay. It tossed the round pumpkins to and fro. It snapped their vines and then off they would go, bouncing left, slamming right, banging, bashing. What a sight! Spookley sat there filled with fright, but he was glad to be a square that night. Do you guys see Spookley? He's right here. Suddenly, the fence gave way. 3 pumpkins rolled out and into the bay. Bay is another word for the ocean. The bay is where the ocean comes into the land. Spookley knew what must be done. It was up to him. He was the one. He teetered, he tottered, he tipped, he tried, and finally he flipped. He was on his side. Again he tipped, again he flopped, again he flipped, and then he stopped. Right in the gap where the fence had snapped, he blocked the way. The hole was capped. All the pumpkins shouted hooray. Spookley the square pumpkin had saved the day. And then a pumpkin hit him with a whack. He thought his shell would start to crack. And then another one hit him with a thump and another with a smack. Then one by one, a ton of pumpkins piled on the snack with a bang and a bash and a crunch and a crash, and then it all went black. Oh my goodness, the pumpkins look scared. At dawn, when the storm had stopped, the farmer came out and checked on his crop. He picked up his pumpkins one by one and laid them out in the warm, dry sun. And when the last was moved away, the farmer could see who had saved the day. An odd-shaped pumpkin, short and dense, was wedged against the broken fence. Its shell was bruised and its stem was too, but there was brave little Spookley, sitting straight and strong and true. Right then and there, the farmer knew of all of the seeds he'd ever sown, Spookley's were the most special that he had ever grown. And the next year, when it was time to sow, he sowed those seeds in every row. He watered and weeded and watched them grow. And oh, that morning, about mid-June, when the pumpkin patch began to bloom, there were tiny pumpkins everywhere, hundreds and hundreds, and most of them square. But some were cubes and some were rectangular. Some were flat and others triangular. There was a bed of bright red ones and rows of 2 blue. There were polka-dotted pumpkins and rainbow ones too. There were thousands of colors and hundreds of shapes. Oh, what a garden variety makes! Now, every year on Halloween, Spookley's patch is quite a scene. People come from far and near to see what wonders grew that year. They stop, they gawk, they gaze, they stare. They pick a pumpkin that's round, triangular, or perfectly square. Now you know the story of how Spookley grew. Maybe someday, if you tell someone too, that someone might go tell another, and maybe one day we will all discover you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. So now we are going to try and make Spookley the Square Pumpkin. To start, I need to draw a square because Spookley is a square. A square is 4 lines. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I drew 4 lines to make a square. Then I am going to cut out my square. I use scissors with my thumb up and my fingers in the bigger hole. I'm going to cut my square pumpkin. Cutting can sometimes be hard, but as long as we keep going, we will eventually cut out a whole square for Spookley. Now that I've cut out Spookley, I am going to glue him onto a piece of paper. I have to remember to pull my cap off my glue stick. Oof, sometimes it's hard. Okay, I put my glue on the back part of Spookley, and then I flip it over and I stick it on. Now, when I look at Spookley in this picture, he has eyes and a smile. So I'm going to add eyes and a smile to my Spookley. I love that Spookley has 2 eyes and a big smile. I also see that Spookley has a stem. So I'm going to add a stem to my pumpkin. Wow, I made Spookley, but I see that he was in a pumpkin patch. And at the end of our story, there were pumpkins of all different shapes and sizes and colors. So all around Spookley, I am going to draw lots of pumpkins with different shapes and colors. So I'm going to start by drawing a red triangle pumpkin. And I'm going to give it a stem. And then I'm going to add a purple rectangle pumpkin. And I'm going to give it a stem. And then I'm going to add a circle and an oval orange pumpkin. Here's a circle. And here's an oval. Very good. And I'm going to add lots of leaves and stems so that it looks like a pumpkin patch. Drawing leaves and stems is fun because you can make wiggly lines. So I'm going to make lots of wiggly lines to show the rows of crops of pumpkin. Great job, guys! I loved reading Spookley the Square Pumpkin and making a pumpkin patch with Spookley in it with you. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you!